is hot here in Alabama. So I think we should grab a drink and get in front of the AC and listen to some true ghost stories sent in by you, my subscribers. Well, hello, spooky people and wonderful wild weirdos. You know, that's hard to say. I don't care who you are. All right, I hope you are loving these ghost stories. I'm really enjoying reading all your stuff and all your comments. Most everybody, not all, but most everybody is very kind and sweet, and you seem to like them. So let's dive right in. And this is by Stoned Silly. I love that name. Okay, there is an awesome psych unit here in Northeast Alabama I've been in a few times. I attempted self-harm about 2 years ago, and when I was there, you could feel cold spots much colder than the rest of the room. There was a nice middle-aged lady I befriended that experienced seeing a spirit in the group room once. She wasn't schizo or delusional. Pretty normal lady. She talked to one of the nurses who said they'd saw it pass through the rooms on the cameras, oh my goodness, as they're always watching them for patient safety. Apparently the psych unit is built above the only original part of the hospital from the early 1900s. I am from Alabama, and I wonder if I know which hospital you would be talking about. I know several old ones in that area. And they kind of just give off that vibe. Yeah, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Yes, Scully's back. I hear you, I hear you. Yes, he is taking over. Sachi is gone for the moment, but we'll see. So y'all, please say hello to Scully. But anyway, yeah, cold spots, things like that are pretty common. I'd love to know, though, what hospital you're talking about. All right, this one is by Haley Mary. Those stories of people seeing a man in the room or hearing a children's voice calling for their mom and then the patient passing away a few minutes later is so creepy. Yes, it really is. But it's kind of sweet too, don't you think? I hope it's just a family member coming to help them cross over to the afterlife or the next lifetime. It would be so creepy to work in a hospital and know a coworker passed away and yet see her the next week. Yeah. Sweetheart, there's some still alive I don't want to see. Have I said too much? But anyway, it would be creepy to see her the next week walk into a room as though she was still doing her job. It makes me wonder, do these spirits not realize they are dead and are just continuing to do their jobs? If so, that is sad. Yes, somebody please tell me, okay? Don't let me keep working. That's so funny. But she did say something about the number 3, because remember, I've said, and every nurse and healthcare worker knows people pass away in threes. She says 3 is the number of time in numerology, which I'm not into that, but past, present, future, death, life, beginning, middle, end. So I kind of see what you're saying there. Does anybody else have any explanations that you've ever heard about why patients always pass in threes? And it's a thing when you're in, especially at LTC, if you have 3 pass and then you have a 4th, you're panicking because you know there's going to be 2 more after that. It's creepy. Okay, this is user, I don't know, GE9YV8. I used to work at a Catholic hospital. I worked nights in the pharmacy. I was stalking when I looked up and noticed a tall black figure in a robe standing in the IV room. I didn't tell anyone until a little later in the night. Another lady I worked with described seeing the same thing I did. Well, I know, and that's the thing. I get a lot of you saying, I've been a patient in a hospital and the nurses say they never see anything. Well, they're not going to. We barely talk to each other about it because it's one of those things. Nobody wants a crazy, person on the floor when you have got life and death situations. So And especially in a hospital setting, we only talk about that very privately and in special situations, okay? It's not something that you would say really in the middle of a shift. Hey, I just saw this black figure in the IV room. No, keep that to yourself because you don't want all the patients unnerved as well as the staff. Okay, and this comes by Madeline Day. 20 years of geriatric nursing. I have met the man in black, Walter. The man in black has a name, or is it just specific to where you're at? Oh, my man in black, I don't know if his name's Walter. And the lady in white, Millie. When I worked at New Haven, we had exit signs would flicker, and that was our sign that someone was leaving us. The cat Sassy would also be with the patient that was going to pass. Absolutely, 100%. We've talked about this before. A lot of healthcare facilities, especially hospices and LTCs, they have a cat, a facility cat, because it does let you know who is going to pass next. It's kind of creepy, but they know. I don't know about Walter and Millie, though. I hope they're just specific to yours because I don't want to think that every shadow man is Walter. Like, what if somebody calls him by the wrong name and he gets offended? And how do you know? But my question is, how did you find out his name and her name? Were they residents or somebody who had passed and you just knew who that was? Or did they like write it? Did they tell you? How did you know that? Please tell me. I want to hear this. Okay, now here are some stories that I've been holding on to forever, so I want to get through them because they're at random places around the internet. Now, this is in response to Have you ever seen a spirit? Several. My old house, there was a gray man, and now I currently work in a nursing home where I am followed about by many spirits. There's a lady in white, there's a man in a top hat, and another one we call Hector the Spectre. I love it, Hector the Spectre. See, look, what is this? They have got a, lady in white and a man in a top hat. Why are these ghosts wearing hats? Like, is that something do I need to have hats prepared? I don't know. Are they just old ghosts and they're used to wearing hats? Or is it a thing? Do you really spend time in the afterlife styling? I don't have hats prepared. And Hector the Spectre, I think that is hysterical. I Scully's jealous that I didn't name him Hector. But you're a skull. So there you go. It's the one that follows me and my colleague about at night and peeks around doors of residents we are issuing personal care to. Well, that's kind of rude. Don't be looking while somebody's giving me personal care. Look. No. Hector the Spectre and the rest of y'all need to stay in your lane. Do not be watching during those kind of events, okay? That's just rude. All right, the next one. Okay, but let's go on. My whole life, I've seen people who weren't there, and recently I finally got it in video of orbs and camera of pictures. Wow, because my husband hears and sees things move, and I told him about me growing up, how I see people who aren't there and disappear when I look away and look back. And I told him about me growing up, how I see people who aren't there and disappear when I look away and look back. And when I showed him the recent thing that happened on the property where we live, he got so freaked out that he doesn't go outside at night anymore. Oh wow. I want to see these. I see there were no pictures. This was just a story in the comments. I need some details. I need to see some of these pictures. I told his mom and showed her. Now she wants to send someone to bless our house and cleanse it. I told her it doesn't scare me or bother me. I can feel if it is something bad. I just tell them to go away or ignore it. Well, that's probably the best thing to do, honestly. But I'm guessing that the pictures and stuff are unnerving everybody else. It's not a bad idea to have your house blessed. It's always a good thing. Okay, here is a valid question. Does a ghost cat count? My cat Rusty came and laid on my bed the night after he passed away. I talked to him. He never came back. Well, I think that Rusty was just coming to say goodbye. I had a really weird, y'all have heard me say it before, experience when I was a kid with a cat that passed away just once. I think they're just, I don't know, just coming to let you know they're okay, maybe, and say goodbye. But what do you all think? Have y'all had any encounters with animals that have passed or anything before? Keep sending me your stories. I have got a ton of them and I'm collecting more every day. Probably the next one is going to be 100% of stories submitted by viewers. I'm not going to lie, we sweating here in Alabama. But at least I've got Scully to keep me cold. Does that make sense? All right. Have a great week. I will see you next time. But remember to stay spooky, okay? Bye bye.